Only Hulk.
I lied, but you're in danger. What? I promised you that I would keep you safe. Please, you just have to trust me. Come on. Fine.
You're the only one who can sense it.
Hey, can we do this one at a time, please?
You're the only one who can defeat it.
The Spidey Tracker app says that Spider-Man is in the direct vicinity.
Oh, yeah? No way, that's crazy.
Just gonna let him go by himself?
What are you doing here?
She tells me I gotta come watch you.
Did she actually say that to you?
Are you blushing?
How could you tell if I was blushing? I'm wearing a mask!
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. Marvel and Sony released a whole bunch more Spider-Man Brand New Day footage, a bunch more Hulk footage too, also a lot of deep cuts for Thor Ragnarok, a bunch of references back to that movie, so we will break it all down. Was a little surprised to see Spider-Man walking around in women's clothes in the movie. I'm sure they'll have some crazy explanation for that. One of the coolest new scenes here is a big Thor reference back to Thor Ragnarok. Spider-Man emulated Thor and pretended like he was holding Thor's hammer back during Spider-Man Homecoming. He's been a big Avengers fanboy his whole life, so of course Spider-Man would have been asking people about Thor and Hulk's adventures on Sakaar, even if he hadn't spent a lot of time with either Hulk or Thor in the previous Marvel movies. He'd still be asking about their adventures from the other Avengers. So in their new fight scene, which I think is happening inside Banner's office in Empire State University or somewhere near there, he says, "No Banner." He's saying, "No Banner, only Hulk," which is something he's repeating from Thor Ragnarok when Thor finds him for the first time in that arena fight. And Thor's like, "Oh yeah, I'm so happy to find you." And he thinks that he's talking to Banner, but Hulk tells him, "No, you're not talking to Banner, you're talking to the Hulk." Banner is nowhere to be found. I have him tucked away in the back of my mind here. Meaning that Hulk has completely sublimated Banner, which is why he's back in Savage Hulk mode, not in Professor Hulk mode, which was a sharing of their mind where they blended their powers together. We also get a bunch more scenes of their fight as it spills out. They're falling down the side of the building, but fighting in the middle of the air. They kind of did something similar during the Black Widow movie, where they were fighting in the pieces of the Red Room as they were falling through the air. But this is just a little bit cooler because it's Spider-Man and Hulk, two way more powerful characters trying to do it. And you notice how Hulk is thrashing him around like a rag doll, but because he's Spider-Man and he's been in the cocoon, he has the enhanced powers, he can just handle it, he can soak the damage just because his body is so bendy.
I'm not in high school anymore. Oh, did you stretch? You a big stretcher? It's so good for you.
If you really want to get technical and talk about the attributes of spiders, spiders can operate with a lot of their bodies being damaged, way more than like a normal human could operate. So even on a normal day, before he gets his enhanced powers out of coming out of the cocoon, he can still take a lot of damage before he goes out cold. And you notice during their mid-air fight, he tries to swipe him a couple different times with the Shocker Gauntlet with energy punches, which I think the idea is that he got this from Damage Control because Damage Control probably arrested Shocker at some point. I think the idea is that by the events of present day in the movie, Damage Control has accumulated so much more tech from both the villains they've arrested over the years, the leftover Chitauri alien technology from the Battle of New York, and the final battle in Avengers Endgame. There was a lot of debris left over from Thanos' army there that they also would have confiscated. And a lot of Stark tech, Iron Man gear that they've taken over the years because Iron Man helped create Damage Control in the first place, and we just saw them confiscate the Edith glasses and the drones from Spider-Man No Way Home. And I think the idea is that a lot of the new weapons that they've snagged are also Spider-Man villains' weapons who were using Vulture's tech from Spider-Man Homecoming that they stole from the Chitauri cleanup sites and refashioned into different weapons and armor to make them more like their comic book counterparts, but with tech instead. There are a number of scenes in the trailer showing Spider-Man meeting with Tremel Tillman's William Metzger character, the head of Damage Control in the movie, so it seems like he spends a good amount of time at their facility during the movie, and that's probably where he gets this gear from. Using it to energy punch Hulk, which is both a reference to Thor lightning punching Hulk in the arena in Thor Ragnarok, and Iron Man trying to beat him in the Hulkbuster armor. So Spider-Man is showing off both his deep lore and knowledge of the Avengers canon, as well as his abilities as a science bro, just doing the calculations, the math here. Like if I punch Hulk with the energy in addition to the gauntlet itself, it will apply all this extra force and I might have a chance of knocking Hulk out. Both Thor and Iron Man were able to get Hulk to calm down, but Thor was able to knock him unconscious way more easily because of the added energy of his lightning punch. But it kind of looks like, based on the trailer footage we've seen so far, that the minute that the Hulk's fist collides with the Shocker's gauntlet, it almost does nothing, like it completely dissipates the energy from the gauntlet itself, so it does nothing to him. But because we see him trying to use it again and again, punch him again and again mid-air while they're falling, it seems like he doesn't completely destroy the gauntlet on his first punch. William Metzger then tells Spider-Man he's the only one who's immune to it and can sense whatever it is jumping between people's minds, controlling them, which I think is Sadie Sink's character based on the trailers. They really want you to think that it's Sadie Sink's character, but it could be some other mystery villain that they're hiding from everybody. For the most part, they've said it's the Spider-Man evolution in his cocoon that causes him to be immune to this, so he wasn't immune before. In the comics, he's not immune to Jean Grey's telepathy. She's an Omega-level telepath, even without the Phoenix Force added power. But I think that they're saying in the movie that this younger version of Jean Grey might still be figuring her powers out. So like the Hulk is a good example of this, how she's able to control Banner's mind and get him to Hulk out, but once he does, she loses control because she's not able to control the Hulk's mind in the same way. Also in the comics, Hulk's mind is immune to certain types of magic and just not affected in the same way that regular people are. I don't know if the movie's going to completely address this. They might have decided it's too complicated for casuals to follow, because a lot of this movie and the lore is tuned for casuals, but there are a lot of Easter eggs for like really long-time Spider-Man comic book fans. When Doctor Strange performed his mind wipe spell in the comic book version, it did affect Banner's mind, but not the Hulk's mind, so Hulk goes on remembering Peter Parker's Spider-Man, but Banner does not, like everybody else. We get a much longer version of that fight scene that he has with the hand in the prison, which is him quipping funny at them, asking if they can fight one at a time instead of him having to face them all at the same time, which he does, and then using his enhanced senses and powers that he gets from the evolution in the cocoon to dodge their weapons more easily and use his stronger organic webbing tornado on them. Cannot wait to see some of these fight scenes. A lot of this was done practically. There was like a big behind-the-scenes featurette that they released on Disney+. It's like 26 minutes long. I don't have like a good clean copy of it, so I'm not going to talk too much about that here, but there have been a couple clips of it that have leaked online, and the movie looks fantastic just based on the behind-the-scenes. Spider-Man fans have never had it so good. We get a couple more scenes of the mind control blast wave hitting other people. Both Ned and MJ also get caught in this too. And another funny scene of Spider-Man quipping and fighting with the Punisher. He gets super embarrassed when Frank starts making fun of him for being in love with MJ. I think this is one of the first times we've heard Spider-Man get super upset with someone like this, get super embarrassed like this.
Did she actually say that to you?
Are you blushing?
How could you tell if I was blushing? I'm wearing a mask!
Trying to argue that Punisher shouldn't be able to tell whether or not he's blushing because he's wearing the mask, which he probably is because the spider doth protest too much. Why would he be arguing this hard if he weren't blushing? We also get another new scene of Spider-Man drinking coffee with Punisher, just chilling out before he goes to fight the Hulk without taking the mask off, which I think is kind of funny, him drinking coffee through the mask, which I believe he's done in the comics a number of times before. Punisher's love of coffee rubbing off on him. There was also another new scene too, just meant to be like a funny scene, of Peter walking around in his apartment, but he was wearing women's clothes, like he has the Juicy Couture all over his butt. I think what might be happening here is that this is right after he wakes up naked outside, hanging upside down in the cocoon, so he's evolved at this point, but has no idea what's going on, falls, catches himself with his organic webbing, suddenly realizing that he does have organic webbing now. He has the spider holes, just like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man in No Way Home. Then maybe he realizes that he's totally naked and needs to find clothes quickly and just steals some random clothes nearby, and they just happen to be women's clothes, so he puts them on without really thinking about it, but he has like Juicy Couture all over his butt and like this women's tank top, so maybe they'll just use it for a random joke in the movie with like other characters on the street seeing him walk by in women's clothes and just making funny comments at him. Turning Spider-Man in this movie into a crossdresser, transvestite Spider-Man. There was also a lot of other big Marvel news this morning and announcements about their upcoming movies and some of their comic book stuff, so I wasn't planning on doing a separate video. I'll address that during this. Probably the biggest thing being that people are saying now that Adam Driver is playing a version of Mr. Sinister in the X-Men reboot movie that Marvel is releasing in 2028 in Marvel Phase 7, which I think people are way happier about than hearing that he might be playing Magneto, because that was like an other early rumor, but then the people that released that rumor came out and said, no, they were wrong, he's actually playing Mr. Sinister. So I don't know how correct that is. It's just a rumor right now, but I do think he would actually do pretty solid as Mr. Sinister. Previous reports had said that Marvel plans on using live-action Mr. Sinister as a big villain in this new upcoming X-Men reboot franchise going forward, whatever that trilogy winds up turning into, basically doing a version of his storyline that we saw little bits of during X-Men 97 in some of the other X-Men animated series episodes, like basically his comic book backstory, just weaving that into the modern MCU in their own way. Sadie Sink's Jean Grey character is supposed to be like one of the biggest, most important characters in the Marvel Universe going forward in Marvel Phase 7 for a number of different reasons, but the really big connection to Mr. Sinister in the comics is that he was obsessed with the bloodline of Jean Grey in Cyclops because he wanted a child who could wield the Phoenix Force that he could control, like he wanted that power for himself. So that's why he winds up creating what becomes Nathan, aka Cable.
A new breed of perfect creations will be born this night by my will and genius.
But he ultimately winds up using the Jean Grey clone, Madeline Pryor, to accomplish that goal, to get that baby, Nathan Cable. But here's the thing with that. Sadie Sink is like in her mid-20s right now. It just feels like that is light years away, so I'm not expecting them to do that exact storyline. But I do think that eventually we'll get into more Phoenix stuff in the future of the MCU, but they're going to wait a hot minute before they do that because we literally just did a big Phoenix arc in the Fox X-Men movies before they closed that down. And the other really big Marvel news is that Marvel Comics is picking up shop in New York City and now moving its publishing arm to Los Angeles like DC did back in 2015. So like all the movie stuff and all the comic book stuff is going to be located in the same city, but a lot of the creators, the people that actually write and draw the Marvel comics and DC comics too, live all over the world. So like it's not like they all live in the same city. If you are following the current comics too, they're also getting rid of C.B. Cebulski as their editor-in-chief and appointing Stephen Wacker. C.B. Cebulski is going over to work on their manga and their Japanese-based stuff in Japan. So if you really hated C.B. Cebulski's tenure as editor-in-chief at Marvel Comics, he is gone. But for the most part, this doesn't really affect the movies or the TV shows, so if you're just following that stuff, then you don't really need to worry about any of that. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below and let me know if you spotted any Easter eggs or references in the new footage that I didn't talk about in the video, or things you want me to talk about during Comic-Con week. The really big reminder is that Comic-Con is happening next week. There's supposed to be a big Marvel panel, but I think it's just going to be for Avengers Doomsday, so there's a pretty good chance we get the first official Avengers Doomsday trailer. Of course, I will do all the videos for that, and because Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming out in theaters the week after that, we'll also probably get a little bit of new Spider-Man footage too. There'll be a bunch of trailers for other things too, so just make sure you enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that stuff, and I will try to do videos for as much of it as possible. I'm also working on a longer Odyssey video too, non-comic book related stuff, but it is Christopher Nolan, and he has a long history in comics with Batman and other related stuff that he helped during the DCEU era. So everybody click here for all those upcoming Avengers Doomsday trailers, and click here for all my Spider-Man trailer videos too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.